I got all these side notes. But I was thinking about a covenant. We always hear about the covenant, right? The covenants of God. But think about it. A covenant is not something like, in other words, if I made a covenant, I wouldn't just make a covenant with a whole bunch of people or a nation or a group or whatever. It has to be an individual thing. A covenant is for one individual to another. So it's like he betrothed, or he willed all this stuff. You know, the will of God. We always think of the will of God as what he wants. But the will of God is like the last will and testament. God died on the cross and he willed you to have something. What he willed you to have was his life. So you can now see with God's eyes because his life comes into you. That's his will for you. It's for him to live in you. And so you as an individual were called by God, and he has offered you a covenant. He says, I want to make a covenant with you, Doug. I want to make a covenant with you, Suzette. I want to make a covenant with you, Mark, just between you and me. Because if Doug refuses it, I don't want to screw it up for Suzette. I don't want to screw it up for Mark. Because each and every one of you has a choice. I'm offering this. This is for you. This is between you and me. This is my covenant with you. I love you. I gave you this world. I gave you my life. I died so you can live forever. Do you accept that? That's how it is. That's how our individual God is. He deals with it. He doesn't just say, okay, mankind, whoosh, there you go. Figure it out. It's like, no, he comes straight to you. And that's what I'm focused on here is get to him any way you can. Look at the beauty of his creation, and you'll start to understand him. Because sometimes it's awkward. I understand that, to speak to God out loud. You know, I don't know how I feel awkward that way sometimes. Sometimes I feel very relaxed. I'm in my truck and I'll just start talking to him. Sometimes though I feel kind of goofy. I'm like, I'm alone in my truck. What if somebody comes by and sees me talking, you know? It's easier nowadays because they got Bluetooth and all that. But the thing is we want to get as comfortable as we can. And just like now, like today I did something I would never have done before. I walked out in the middle of a field. There wasn't many people, but there's some people kicking balls around, playing with their kids in the playground. And I just stood there and I videotaped the sky because I was just in awe of this beautiful blue sky. But there's before my communication with God was more intimate, let's say, I would have felt embarrassed because I would have thought, oh, they're going to think I'm weird. I don't know who would videotape the sky. That's kind of goofy, you know? So it's like, it's not that I was bad then. It's just that I was kind of like, you know, less mature, and I'm getting more mature as I go. So just like speaking with God, it's easy for me to speak to him in my heart all the time. But as I go more and more, I get to the point where it's easier for me to just talk out loud. I don't care where I am. I talk to him in a restaurant. I talk to him out there, you know, checking the mail. Thank you, Jesus. You know, I got something good in the mail. I'll say it out loud. And they say, that's not about being a good or a bad thing. It's about an intimacy thing. The more you see how awesome he is, the more easier it is to just look at the sky and go, wow. Because I used to always look at the sky and think, wow. Now I say, wow. I mean, I'll go out there and stand in the parking lot now or at night, and there's, whoa, baby, come on here, look at this star. You know, it's like, you know, and people probably think we're goofy or weird or something, but I don't care. Because they might come over and they might ask me, and I say, did you know that God did that? You know, that star is, you know, so many billions of years away or miles away. And that's how God is. Part of his covenant is, as an individual, is he's trying to reach you in any way he can. You know, he might reach you through, you know, making a little twang on your guitar. You know, who knows how he'll reach you. The point is when you start to develop that awe, that wonder, that amazement, oh my God is staggering. He's staggering in his beauty and his love and his creation. And when you start seeing things that other people don't see, it's amazing to us. We see all these things all the time in the sky, and we record them, we look at them, we compare them with each other, and we realize people are just driving by. There's one, I'll show it to you when we're done. 2 years ago, I saw there was two huge lights in the day sky. One was the sun, and it was like, what was this other one? We couldn't figure it out. But everyone's just driving by. I went in the parking lot down there, empty parking lot, and there's people walking around, and I'm videotaping this thing, and I'm talking to myself, and people just walking by, they weren't even looking at it. They probably thought I was nuts, but they were just like consumed with what they're doing. And look in the sky. The sky is always there. What's the big deal about the sky? But God talks to us through these ways.